Okay, so this is going to be a review for the high grade Gouf you saw in the unboxing not too long ago. As you know, this is my fiance's kit. She went ahead and gave me the go ahead to go, review it. So I figured, why not? I might as well. She had already built it, so all that was left to do was really to get the weapons finished, and that's it. Um, this is a 2016 kit, and as you can tell, it has the Bandai Spirits logo on there, which means that the barcode does not tell you the price. But that's the box art. It's actually not too bad. I like it. I like how it's making it look really tough, and in the background you see some Zaku 2s engaging in combat. Definitely reminiscent of the episode in the original show where Amuro fights Roll, and he's got two of his Zaku's backing him up, and they both get destroyed. Um, I think that's pretty much it here. Yeah, this is just showing you different like stances and stuff you can do with them, and different actions and poses he has, and gimmicks and gadgets and stuff. Um, so it's not too bad, honestly. And the booklet's much of the same. The artwork is fantastic. So that's it about the box. Let's go ahead and look at the. Well, actually, hold on. There's a little bit of a blurb here about it, so you can read about its height and stuff like that. Its weapon, like how much ammo, like what ammo type it uses for its fingers right here, and stuff like that. And this is probably a description of the suit itself or when it was encountered in the show. I don't really know. I don't speak Japanese or read it, so I couldn't tell you exactly what it says. But if you want to go ahead and pause the video and translate this so you can figure out what it says, you're more than welcome to. Anyways, now let's move on to the kit. So here it is, the high grade Gouf. Now, it's clearly based off of an older suit, so it's a little bit more on the normal plain side. It's not extravagant like a lot of later suits became. But I'm okay with that. I prefer the more simple designs of the, Universal Century style. Anyways, so the kit itself is actually quite nice. It's got a decent amount of like surface detailing and stuff for a kit that's pretty simplistic. Um, there's not much in the way of its articulation being extravagant. Like, it's pretty good for what it is, for it being just a basic high grade. But there are two things about its articulation that are pretty cool, though. One is just like with most of the high grade Zaku's, I know it's pretty common for them to have it, but a lot of mono-eyed suits have that little plastic little nub down there underneath the head that you can move and make the eye itself move and looking in a different direction if you want it to kind of be looking to the side. So that's really cool. Another thing that it can do with this particular hand that it has on it with its like machine gun hand is its hand can actually bend and these fingers and stuff can move, which I'm really surprised by. I did not think that they would actually include that little tidbit in there. And I think that that's makes this kit pretty unique. Not a lot of kits have stuff that really make it stand out and make it unique. So I think that moving of the fingers is pretty cool for a high grade. I mean, you usually never see that in high grades. Like, that's rarely seen in real grades. Maybe one hand can do that with like individual finger movement. And while it's not necessarily individual, having the entire finger set move it on its own is still pretty cool for a high grade. Um, because I know it's more common in master grades and perfect grades, so I find that pretty interesting, honestly. It does have a few different colors, as you can tell. It's got like a darker blue, and then a more sky blue. Hold on, this light is pretty bright, so I'll be right back. Actually, I want to turn this light off. Okay, tell me to see if that's okay, because I don't know if that's going to be okay or not. It's kind of dark. I don't have any more lighting right now. I'm still starting off with everything, so I don't have the full studio set up or anything yet. But regardless, that's kind of what it looks like. You can tell it's got two different shades of blue. It's got some gray in there, and it's got like a pink for the mono eye. Now that mono eye is the only foil sticker on this kit. So if you're one of those people that absolutely hate foil stickers, which I don't blame you for the most part, but I don't hate foil stickers like a lot of people do. Um, for the most part, they're okay. But I have to mention it because that's pretty cool. Honestly, having only one sticker for the entire kit is it's kind of rare to actually come across that, even for high grades. In fact, high grades have more stickers than that, and the higher up you go in grades, the more stickers you get usually, and also SDs have a lot of stickers. But I think that's pretty cool. And like I said, its articulation is actually pretty good, but he doesn't like to lean a lot and fall over on this turntable for some reason. Anyways, as you can tell, he's got quite a bit of accessories actually for such a simple kit, and I don't think he costs a whole lot. So him being such a relatively decent price, probably 15 to 20, maybe a little higher, maybe a little less. Not too bad for what you get. As you can tell, I have one of these like I'm not sure exactly what this is supposed to be. I think it's like a Shintar or a Scimitar or something like that. But really, you never see him use that in the show. I don't understand why you see it. Why is it included with the kit? Maybe it's a part of the manga. I don't know. Now, what is in the show is obviously this right here, which is the heat rod, or yeah, it's heat rod. It's basically a whip, but it's referred to as a rod in the dub. So we call it a heat rod. And I do believe that they call it a heat rod in Japanese as well. But really, it's a whip. I don't know why it's called a rod. But you might be wondering how come I'm not posing him with his most legendary weapons. Well, this thing kind of sucks, honestly, this particular accessory. While it's okay, it fits into the hand pretty well. The ball joint it's on goes into the forearm up here to kind of like lock it in place. And then it looks like he's holding it with his other hand. It looks cool at first, but then when you try and move it around and do different poses with it, you realize how constricting it is. And at the same time, it might break while you do that. So it's probably best not to use this, honestly, in my personal opinion. He's got another one of these Shimtars or Shimitars, whatever you want to call them. They look like beam Shimitars to me. Anyways, it could be called some kind of other thing, like a heat sword or something. I'm not exactly sure because I think he's the only suit that comes with him, like just the Gouf. I think the Gouf's the only one that comes with those kind of weapons, as far as I know. And if that's not the case, then you see it rarely, far and few between. Regardless, he's got a couple of different hand options, obviously. He's got two that have the big machine gun fingers. The one that he has attached right now, which is the one that moves, and one that's in a closed fist where he can actually hold something. But I find this to be kind of a pointless addition because he can't hold anything in that hand. Because both of these swords only have a tab on the right side of the handle, which means only the right arm can hold it. The left arm can't hold it. So, what's the point of giving him another hand that is closed that looks like it can hold something but can't? Or if it can, it can't hold it very well. And you have two normal hands for that side of the body in case you don't like the big old machine gun fingers, which is fair. Some people probably don't like it. But you have an option between a closed fist and a holding hand. Again, don't see the point in the holding hand because he can't hold anything. And then, of course, you have another option for his right hand, which is a closed fist, and then an open hand, a holding hand for holding objects. And that's pretty much it for him, honestly. But we do have something else to talk about, or for me to show you, that is kind of cool and something that you may or may not notice, but we'll get to it. And that is the unused parts. Now, sometimes with kits, no matter how simple or complicated, they will have leftover pieces, leftover parts. This is actually not too big of a deal with certain kits because you can use them for customization, or if it's a completed part, you might even be able to use it as a spare just in case something happens to the arm or something. But in most cases, you don't have a complete piece, you only have bits and pieces. So that kind of sucks. But it's okay because sometimes you can find uses for them. However, with this particular kit, I noticed that while going through the runners that he has an extra shield that you don't use. I think it's probably optional. You probably can use it, but it looks like it's an older version because it actually has this peg protruding out of where you would put the handle piece that goes into the other shield so that you can pop it into the back of his arm. So I'm thinking that this is actually from the older version of the Gouf, and that, because it's the 2016 version, it might be the Revive or something if there is one. I don't know, but I think this is from an older version of the kit, and if you want to use it for something, you can probably figure it out. But he will come with an extra shield that you can't do anything with. Two inner frame pieces for like arms. It's really hard to see, I know. I'm sorry about that. I don't have any good lighting. But, it's there if you want to try and use it. Focus. Focus! Maybe if I back up a little. Alright, there you go. That's a little better. Anyways, he has two of these, which are clearly one half of like an inner frame of an arm. So, if you could figure out a way to use that, this might be even better for you to pick up. And lastly, obviously, an extra head, but it's not a complete head. As you may have noticed, it doesn't have any hoses going through its face, and it doesn't have any plastic piece in there that you can use for the eye, so it doesn't have a complete set. And it has a hole on top of his head for a Commander V fin. So, and also an extra thing on the back of the head for where the hoses would connect to. So, you have an extra incomplete head in there for some reason. Again, probably an older version. I'm not sure. But yeah, let's go ahead and go to the final verdict. And this is going to be the final verdict for the kit. So, where would I rate it? Well, it does have a few surprises in store for your average builder. So, I think because of that, it's a little better than average. So I wouldn't say it's a solid three. Um, it's definitely closer to a 4 out of 5 because it's better than expected. But that's only in a few gimmicks that it can do, which most other Zaku's and Goofs can also do. Except for the moving hand finger part, that's actually pretty cool. But unfortunately, personally for me, there's not enough uniqueness to make it a 4 out of 5. It's overall very standard with a lot of its articulation and its molding and like details. So it's definitely at best a low 4, like a 4.1 or a 4.2. At the worst, it's maybe a high 3, like a 3.8 or something like that. It kind of like falls in between that gray area, like in between a 3 and a 4. It's not a solid 3 or a solid 4. It's too unique to be a solid 3. It's a little bit more above average, but it's not so standard that it's a solid, normal just 3.0 or something. So yeah, I go ahead. I'd probably give it like a 3.8 or so personally. Now, would I recommend it? Uh, I would actually. For one, it's a high grade, so it's not going to be too expensive. And two, because it's a high grade, it's going to be easier to find and obtain for your average builder. It also has a decent amount of options when it comes to accessories that you can choose to display it with or not display it with. It's got a average set of articulation that will give you just enough uh, movement and articulation to pose it in some pretty good poses. As you can tell, I'm probably definitely not the best at it. Um, I'm definitely not that great at posing Gundam kits, but that's okay. Not everybody is. And if you are someone that's really good at it, then this, probably won't fit your fancy. It's not going to be super articulated, but it's articulated enough for a regular Joe Schmo like myself to pose it in some pretty cool looking poses in my opinion. So it's worth it in that regard. And it's a pretty simple build too. It's fairly similar to a Zaku when it comes to the build because I went through the instructions and it's pretty much you build it like a Zaku. It's a little different, obviously, because this is no Zaku. Anyways, yeah, I'd say go ahead and go for it if you can find it. It's gonna be relatively easy to get, relatively cheap because it's a high grade, and with a decent amount of accessories, you have a pretty good range of choices for this one particular kit on how to display it. So, yeah, I say it's worth it. I recommend it, and I give it about a 3.8 out of 5. It's a fairly decent kit, or fairly average kit, I'd say.
No Zaku, boy! No Zaku!